Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining our virtual roundtable. My name is Justin Pelham, and I'm the Communications Specialist with the Muskegon Lakeshore Chamber of Commerce, and I'll be the facilitator of this morning's meeting. This morning, our presenter is Amy Lebednick. She's the Business Solution Manager for West Michigan Works. Before we get started, I'd like to thank Dirk Stone Real Estate Team for sponsoring this morning's webinar. We can start with a few housekeeping rules. The first thing is I'd like to keep everyone on mute, and then at the bottom of your screen, if you're on a PC, there is a manage participants icon. If you have a question, please hit the raise hand button at the bottom, and that'll let me know that you have a question during our question and answer segment. If you're on your cell phone, you can also raise your hand or just unmute yourself, and I will call on you during that time. So now we can move on to Amy. Amy, can you discuss the unemployment resources that are available during this time?
Absolutely. Good morning, everybody. So glad to be joining all of you. Staying home, staying safe, hopefully, or keeping that social distance if you are an essential worker. You should all see my screen by now. If you don't, just holler at me and I'll make some amends to that. Some of you may have seen a webinar that I was part of a panel on for the Muskegon Lakeshore Chamber of Commerce. I believe it was last week. All the days are kind of starting to merge together. So some of this information I've expanded on, given a little bit more time. Some of it you may recognize. During the last webinar, I started out by just showing data just to kind of get the overall picture of where we are with unemployment. Now on this particular chart at the very bottom, I do have that as of week ending, or no, I'm sorry, mid to week April 4th, we had, it was just 700, just over 700,000 claims. When this data was reported, we were still under 1 million. We've now surpassed 1 million claims. We are the third, we do have the third highest claims over all the states in the US right now. That's about 25% of the nation's workforce that has filed. If we compare that, a weekly total, the last time we saw a large influx of UI claims was during the recession in 2009. And at that point, our weekly total had peaked at 76,000. So we have well surpassed those numbers each week over the last 3 weeks. So if you have tried to reach out to unemployment and you do not get an immediate response, that is why. And their sites have also crashed. I believe yesterday it was down for a while due to the influx of claims. So just to go over a little bit the CARES Act and how that affected the unemployment program and what it extended. The US DOL releases unemployment insurance program letters to the states. For those that like acronyms, we call those UPLs. And those program letters really give the rules to the states to be able to roll out the extended benefits under the CARES Act. So that does include the eligibility of individuals to receive the extra $600 per week. And that $600 payment will end on or before July 31st, 2020, before if an individual does get placed into employment prior to that date. It also extended unemployment benefits by 13 weeks, so it's now to 39 weeks total. This program is 100% federally funded, so employers will not be charged for the cost of that. Applications for individuals, as most of you I'm sure know, that were previously not eligible, the application in the state's online system called MyWAM did open up on the 13th yesterday. Part of the reason for that online system crashing due to the influx. Workers that were on state employment receiving benefits have already started to get the $600 federal weekly payment in addition to their state benefit amount. And these federal payment amounts may be retroactive back to March 29th. So who's eligible for the $600 federal payment? So individuals that are currently receiving regular unemployment compensation, which includes partial unemployment, reduced hours under a work share state program, as well as individuals that may have exhausted benefits. Individuals that are not eligible for the standard state UI benefits are now also deemed eligible. As many of you I'm sure know, the self-employed, 1099, freelance, low-wage workers. So the unemployment insurance program letters, or those UPLs, they also give additional examples of what might be a qualifying circumstance for somebody to be eligible for the federal dollars. And this is not an exhaustive list, but really what some of the primary ones are. So anybody that may have gotten the coronavirus, is diagnosed with it, if they've been told to be quarantined, if their workplace is on a lockdown due to an executive order, or an individual contracting the coronavirus, caring for a sick person. So anybody that maybe had somebody unfortunately pass away due to the coronavirus and is now the main breadwinner of the so all of these plus some additional ones. This is really just a brief summary overview of those main points. Who is not eligible for the federal $600 payment. So in general, individuals that have the ability to work from home with pay, work remotely, would not be eligible. Those who are receiving paid benefits, such as your sick and family leave, FMLA. If an individual is receiving paid benefits, but it is less than his or her normal work week, or is teleworking with pay for less hours than they had prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, they may still be eligible for a reduced weekly benefit amount. So individuals do need to certify bi-weekly through the state system that they are able and available to work, but that they are unemployed or underemployed due to a qualifying reason once they have filed their claim and that claim gets approved. And sometimes you're still certifying even if your claim is not approved. Okay, so when should an employee file a claim? Individuals should file a claim that the day that they are laid off. If they are receiving a payment for vacation, sick time, some sort of paid time off, or if they are receiving, if it's not a temporary layoff, it's a permanent layoff and they're receiving a severance package, all of that is considered income. So an individual would not file until that last payment has been made, and the next unpaid work day would be the day that they file. Employees do have 28 days from the day that they are laid off to file a claim. If they cannot get into the system right away and there is a delay, any approved claims will be backdated to reflect the date in which the claimant was laid off. This is why it is very important for individuals to certify, as the UIA's online system will instruct them to do, even if the claim has not been approved. So as long as you continue to certify, what they call certifying, which can be done online or on the phone, then you will receive back pay once your claim is approved. Although an individual does have 28 days from the day that they are laid off to file a claim, the state has said that they will be accepting claims and benefit applications beyond that established 28 days due to COVID-19. So newly eligible workers who have not yet applied for unemployment benefits, they could potentially begin receiving the $600 federal payment as early as April 20th. This would occur after their first biweekly certification. On the UIA's website, there is a filing schedule based on the first letter of your last name. So as you visit that website, please make note of that, and you are filing on the appropriate day based on that requirement. Newly eligible workers will need to provide proof of income to receive the maximum amount that they are entitled. So this could include documents such as W-2s, 1099 tax forms, or pay stubs, and you will upload that information right into the MyWAM account, or you can fax that information into the unemployment insurance agency. Newly eligible workers who have already applied and they were previously denied, please make sure that you log into your MyGlam account. You will find your next steps in the system. There may be some to-dos or some action items on your end, so it's important that you go back into your online account for UIA to see if there are any next steps in your account, that you're checking that regularly. It should also get emailed to you, but I always suggest, just as a backup, if you're not seeing anything, log into that account. Do not file for a new claim, because that may potentially delay your benefit and in the system. Okay. So just wanted to touch on UIA, the WorkShare program for any of you that have employees. Maybe your company is financially distressed, but you hope to continue operations by cutting back hours. So employers are encouraged, if in that situation, to use or consider the WorkShare program. This allows companies to maintain their employment levels and continue operating their business, as well as being able to hang on to their skilled workers. So in these circumstances, employers that have submitted a work plan that is approved, those employees will also be eligible to receive the $600 payment. Why this is beneficial versus having an employee laid off and collecting potentially state and that federal dollar payment is because they will earn more. So an example, and I'm going to use one that the UIA gives. If you have a company with 100 employees and they need to lay off 20 individuals, should they roll into a WorkShare program, the employer would keep all 100 employees on the payroll, but reduce each employee's work week from 5 days down to 4 days, as an example. So that would still result in a 20% reduction in payroll, but they're able to keep all 100 employees. And so that employee, even though the weekly benefit rate would vary based from employee to employee, if they were to be able to earn the max 362 weekly state benefit dollars, that total amount would be reduced by the total number of hours they are reduced at work. So it would be reduced by 20%. So they would get a $72 reduction. So they'd be receiving more than they would. Let me go on to this next slide. I have a visual here. So in this instance, all the way to the right, they would be getting 692. So it's much more than they would be getting just for a weekly state benefit, in addition to that federal payment as well. Okay, some additional guidance from the UIA for employers. An employer's UI tax rate will not increase if the company is required to close its operations due to an executive order. If an employer needs to temporarily lay off employees and it's not directly linked to COVID-19, the UIA is really strongly suggesting that employers still place employees on a temporary leave and advise them that they expect to have work available within 120 days, as opposed to terminating them if that is what an employer is considering. This does not result in any additional cost to the employer, and the employees will remain eligible for the benefits through the state plus the federal assistance potentially. 1.2, I should make, UIA still having employers verify any claims that are put through. I had the question that was asked if an employer, if UIA contacts an employer, they do have 10 days to respond. However, if the employer is not available because the company is closed, UIA will make a determination based on what the information that the claimant provided. However, they may reach back out to the claimant to obtain some additional information if it's needed. Okay, steps for placing employees on temporary unpaid leave. So do not terminate the employee. Specify temporary or indefinite leave with an expected return date within 120 days, as mentioned on the slide before. Don't create a contractual obligation to bring the employee back to work. Let them know that that situation is subject to change and it's fluid. You'll be keeping them up to date. Do provide the employee with a formal unemployment compensation form. That's Form 1711. That form is available on the UIA's website. They have a section where all of their forms are listed. And the employers will need to provide their FEIN number and employer account, UI employer account number. Also communicate to the employee about their rights. So under the governor's recent executive order, workers that are placed on leave or they cannot work for varying state and federal purposes, that they are eligible for unemployment insurance benefits. Some suggested communication with employees, should they be placed on temporary unpaid leave. Ensure that they're provided information on how to obtain the unemployment insurance benefits. There's a fact sheet as well, and it's titled Fact Sheet 160. That can be found on the UIA's website for employees. Make sure you're getting their up-to-date contact info. Communicate with them. Let them know if you're going to be posting things, updating things on a website or intranet. Make sure they have a point of contact should they have any questions or they won't need to check in. And it's always great and maybe collect individuals' questions and collectively send out those answers. Typically, if one person's asking questions, many others have the same one. Okay, so this is a question I've gotten asked several times: health coverage during temporary layoffs. So are employers that are subject to federal COBRA are required to provide employees with COBRA in the event of a temporary layoff? Yes, so if it results in reduction in hours and loss of healthcare coverage. Also, can employers continue to continue their group healthcare coverage for laid off employees? So you, of course, always have to check with your company's group health plan benefits administrator, but as long as it's allowable there, UI does permit temporary employees to continue to receive or participate in their group health plan for that period of time that they are unemployed, temporarily unemployed. If after a period of time, the coverage is no longer extended and it cannot be provided at that point, then the COBRA qualifying event should occur. Typically, employees that are entitled to coverage during the period that they are on paid time off. So if they are laid off while they're on FMLA, they should be entitled to FMLA's healthcare coverage continuation requirements. Employees as well who are laid off while on paid time off will be subject to employer policies and procedures as it applies to their particular plan. Yeah, I want to leave some time for questions here. I went over this as well in my last webinar. If you guys were not able to see it, if you have an essential worker, maybe they were laid off, you've now retooled and you have some work, you need those employees to come back, and they refuse to do so. Employers do just as they have before. They have the right to protest that claim. And the UIA is encouraging employers to do that. So they will treat those protests just as they have before. And if that is a legitimate appeal that an employer files to an individual's claim, and that individual should have came back to work and had no other reason not to, they will be denied their benefits. So employers are continuing to still pursue that. Just in general, some best practices, communicating to employees. So, understanding, ensuring that they understand why that work is essential, making sure that you're doing the best that you can as an organization to take precautions to ensure that employees are safe. You are communicating to them the measures that you are taking, as well as how that aligns with local public health and CDC recommendations. And then also if an individual is refusing to come back to work, if you're able to, just getting clarification on if that employee is quitting or if they are just simply refusing to come into work. Either way, of course, you would continue or protest on that appeal, assuming that they are not protected under any of those state or federal orders. Quick point here that I put up here, re-engagement strategy, the governor mentioned yesterday. I put this up here. She will be lifting the stay-at-home, stay-safe order if all 4 of these points can be met, including best practices for the workplace. Paycheck protection program and business tax relief. Those are, I just threw those on there. If you're interested in learning more about that, you can visit our website, as well as I'm sure probably the chamber has some resources and references for you as well. On our website, which is westonmyworks.org, when you go to the employer section, you can either call, email, or we do have an online chat capability now if you'd like to ask further questions or more detailed questions with one of our business solution representatives. And then on the side is also some additional contact and resource information for all of you. So I want to leave a few minutes for questions.
Yeah, Amy, I have a question.
Sure.
Once again, what is the advantage to employers for the temporary layoff?
Sure.
Go ahead.
The temporary layoff, well, the advantage to the employee is that they can receive, they're still job attached, so they could receive those state and federal payments. For the employer, if you are considering or would be able to potentially still open and operate following the pandemic, you are able to retain your skilled workers. And then there's also, there would be likely a tax relief break that would not get charged to you as well.
Oh, to our account, to our UIA. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, that'd be good.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I know somebody, and I don't know if you can answer this, but I know somebody that was trying to go back and recertify on the website for the unemployment, and it kept saying that the password was incorrect, and then it would ask these questions. So to change the password, and they were weird questions like, you know, which one of these doesn't fit, and then it lists 3 things. No matter what the answer was, she was wrong. And so I wondered if that is that something somebody might get because the website's not working or is down?
It shouldn't be. She never had a problem logging in before.
No, she had already filed her claim and everything and was just getting a little nervous because she hadn't heard anything, and then got a note that she had to recertify, a message that she had to recertify. So she went in to do that, and it was, I mean, I even saw this, and it was like, it's crazy. It didn't make any sense. So I didn't know if that was just an indication of how the website would work if it was down.
I would suggest that the state did release some additional guidance for increased technical support for claimants. It was either Friday or yesterday. That they did add on their website. So I would suggest to her to go and walk through those guidance steps first. With the increased employees that they've added onto UIA's call center and also rolling out the scheduled claim times, the response rate has been much better. So if she walks through those steps and still isn't able to resolve the issue or log into her account, then definitely reach out and email UIA. I've had individuals that have heard back a response within a couple hours.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, Amy, I have another question. This is from Melissa. We have an employee who is off on short-term disability or long-term disability. They filed for unemployment benefits. I believe they are not eligible until they are released to work and no longer on short-term disability or long-term disability. Can you address that?
Is the company, so the company has not laid off any employees? Would that employee be laid off if not on disability?
Melissa, can you address that?
You know what?
No, they would.
And, for Melissa, I can get you a answer as well for both scenarios.
Pardon?
To you to pass on.
Okay.
But your submissions still only show one.
What was that?
Hi, I had a question. We are self-employed and had filed when we were first told that we could not be working. And so we went in, of course, to do the recertification and the PUA. We were able to actually finally add the 1099 forms that they require. But at the end of that PUA section, there was no submit button. And this morning, there's still no submit button. So it doesn't show under submissions. It just says save as draft. So I'm wondering, is that a glitch? Is that something we need to call on? Or is someone going to send us like an email regarding what we need to do?
Do you have access to a fax machine?
We do.
I would suggest faxing it in. They still do that. They still receive documents at old school
Okay, great.
ways. So fax can be an alternative.
And
All
the
right.
fax number is, do you have that?
It's I don't have it on me. It is on their website. If you are not able to find it, I will provide that information to the chamber. So just shoot an information or an email to them. I'll make sure that they have that if you can't readily find it on their website.
Okay, well it's the whole PUA though. I mean, we filled the entire thing. It did accept the additional, the documents. I was able to put them in. I did attach them. However, at the very end of the PUA, there is no submit button to submit the PUA.
Okay, and in your determinations, it still says it's pending?
No, it still says denied.
Okay, I know that they are still working through all of those cases for individuals that already did apply and were denied. So if it hasn't been updated, but you uploaded your documents, still give it a few more days. It wouldn't hurt though to send them an email if you just want some, peace of mind that they, that they have or haven't gotten to your account yet.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll move on to Jack. Could you ask your question?
Hi. Yeah, I was a University of Michigan employee, and I obviously got laid off due to the COVID stuff. I filed sometime, I think the week of, I officially got laid off March 23rd, but the university did 2 weeks of prorated pay that I wasn't aware of that disqualified me from receiving the benefits for those couple of weeks. I was just wondering whether or not I should reapply or if I just need to recertify and then the employer's confirmation would make me eligible for it essentially.
Mm-hmm. Did the employer file unemployment on your behalf? Do you know?
I believe they did because it was confirmed and it
Okay.
showed a dollar amount for it. I just think that, and I'm not sure quite how it works, but I wasn't aware that I would be getting 2 more weeks of pay. So when I filed, I'm guessing they bounced it back off the university and they denied it.
Okay, yes, then you'll need to reopen your claim and put that start date then as the first day that you would not be paid.
Perfect.
Log into
And
the
then do you
same
know
account.
And then should the $600 CARES money be added on to that too?
It should be. I mean, I'd have to know exactly the specifics on your unemployment case, but it sounds like you would qualify for that. So you would
Awesome.
that payment when you get your first state payment as well.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, now we'll move on to our last question, just in regards to everyone's time. This one's from Cami. If I got a letter that says I'm ineligible to work due to ability, I filed my first claim and said I wasn't able to work because my office shut down. I got a medical form from the unemployment agency and said I was not eligible for that period. She's worried that they think that she's physically not able to work.
If I'm not sure if she has not applied, I would say log on and apply if you haven't. If for some reason they deny your claim, you will be able to appeal that and submit your justification as to why. So if you haven't filed a claim yet, create your account, file the claim. If it gets denied, just go ahead and protest it. Things have started to move in a pretty timely manner.
Okay, this is Cami. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so I did sign up for benefits, and then I did submit everything, and I certified my first week, but I think I answered one of the questions incorrectly and said that it asked me if I was able to work, and I said no, because our offices are closed, but I think they took that as you're physically not able to work, and they said that I was ineligible for that first period, and then they sent me a medical form that's supposed to go to my doctor stating that I am able to work. So I think there was just a miscommunication there, and I have not been able to get in touch with anybody to find out like what I have to do moving forward so that I'm able to get benefits after that original ineligibility letter.
Okay, so I would do one of two things is it should show up in your determinations tab. I would still protest that.
I did that.
You did? Okay.
I did, yep. And I sent a letter as to what I thought the problem was, but that was like 3 or 4 days ago, and I haven't heard back from anyone.
Okay. So try to reach out again. Use either that chat feature on MyWham or a phone call. So the last couple of days, UIA has been able to get to individuals that have an open chat or phone call within the same day.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for your time, Amy. I want to thank everyone that has joined our meeting today. We have an upcoming one, another virtual meeting this coming Thursday at 9 a.m. And we can learn about how the utility companies are here to help during this time as well. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Amy, for your time. And I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.